Stop me if you've heard this before.
There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
Hello and welcome to this episode of War Eagle Weekly. How we doing today, Josh?
Doing pretty good, man. Living the high life after that nice comeback against New Mexico.
Come back by the chance that they scored the first 3 points, and then after that it was all Auburn, right?
Comeback as in the loss.
Were they up? Oh, I get what you're saying. I was about to say, were they up for a long period of time? No, okay. Well, the thing is, man, I've seen this before. We have looked good offensively against lesser teams, and I have bought into it. I thought, hey, these things are good. I'm loving what I'm seeing, and then it bit me in the ass. Not just in the Cal game, but in years past too. So, ultimately, offensively, we looked really good on Saturday. Is this something you think we can continue moving forward, or is this a one-off and we're going to see a lot of the same issues?
I would like to say we'd see it moving forward, but we're coming up against a team that you never know what you're going to get on the field. We've seen 3 different teams on the field from our next opponent in three straight weeks, but I was encouraged by the New Mexico game because the main reason being Hank Brown averaged 2 seconds per drop back before he got the ball out. And we were seeing 4 to 5 seconds from Peyton Thorne, and Hank Brown was putting the ball where it needed to be. He had a couple of, questionable throws. I wouldn't have advised his throw to Perry Thompson on that slick adjustment from Perry, but I mean, it was completed, but all in all, I was very encouraged by Hank Brown and especially the running game, minus the Damari Alston fumble in the torrential downpour that ensued in the second quarter. But for all parts, I would say I'm encouraged by the offense, not so much the defense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Peyton Thorne, or not Peyton Thorne. Oh, thank goodness. I got to get out of the habit of saying that. Hank Brown, he looked a lot more poised in the pocket. He looked like he knew what his reads were. Like he was making progressions. And outside of a couple of bad passes, he threw into that triple coverage on the left sideline at one point in the game. Nothing happened to it. It was just an incompletion. But when he threw it, I was just like, oh my gosh, come on. You've been watching Peyton Thorne too.
Your heart kind of stopped when it happened.
Yeah, but for the most part, he went through progressions. He looked really good. He was getting, like you said, he was getting the ball out really, really quickly, and the offense looked like it was doing really good because of it.
Oh, absolutely. The offense was definitely humming. We didn't see the pocket collapsing so much because he was getting the ball out so fast.
Yeah.
On Hank Brown's toss to Jarquez Hunter on the check down for the touchdown. Oof, I don't think Peyton Thorne would have made that read. He probably would have went for the back shoulder fade to the corner of the end zone like we know he likes to. I can't speak on how impressed I was with Hank Brown in his first collegiate start as a redshirt freshman, and encouraged I am for the weeks to come. Hugh Freeze has already announced that Hank Brown will be the starter against Arkansas, and I'm hoping he can take this momentum into next week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that check down, it would not have happened with Peyton Thorne.
No,
he listens to Charlie 5 too much, and Charlie 5's like, throw the back shoulder pass, throw the back shoulder fade, and which I mean has worked for us in the past, but more often than not, it's an incompletion, overthrow, and so he and hey, Jarquez was not his first option. That was read number 3. Because he started left. There's 2 receivers to the left, and then he worked his way to the middle and saw Jarquez, and Jarquez just finished it off and got it into the end zone. Speaking of that, also Hank Brown was spreading it around, man, because he's going through his progressions and because he's looking at different receivers and different reads and looking at what the defense is doing and saying, hey, I'm going to do what we're supposed to do when the defense looks this way. everybody was getting involved. We saw Rivaldo, we saw Perry Thompson, we saw Camden Brown on the slant catching a touchdown.
Loved seeing Cam Brown catch a touchdown. We also saw two tight ends catch a touchdown.
Yeah. But when was the last time Auburn scored a touchdown on a slant?
It's been a minute. That's another throw I probably wouldn't have advised. He was pretty locked up, but Cam Brown extended the arms and brought the ball in instead of waiting for it to come to him. He went to the ball.
I think the throw needed to be a little bit better, but I think it was the right read. Watching the replay, it was the right read because they were bringing some pressure off of that left side, and so he was throwing into the pass rush, and so I think it was what needed to be done right then, and he trusted Camden Brown to make the catch, and we haven't seen that from a quarterback. We haven't seen the quarterback trusting wide receivers since Hank Brown got in the game against Maryland.
It's true. I mean, Hank Brown was slinging it against Maryland and moving down the field, and he did the exact same thing against New Mexico.
Yeah. All criticisms that we had against Peyton Thorne. I know I felt badly on that. It's early in the morning for both of us. Josh works night shift, and so it's his night and my morning. I wake up early
bedtime
to get this taken care of. But of all the criticisms that we have for Peyton Thorne, not anticipating wide receivers open, not audibling, not going through your progressions, not taking the check down, Hank Brown checked the box on every single one, and he did it as if he was not a redshirt freshman. He looked like a poised veteran out there.
Yeah, he definitely did. You know, I even saw a bunch of snapshots during the game. Every single picture I saw of Hank Brown specifically on the field, he had a friggin' huge smile on his face. So you could tell he's enjoying playing the game, and you didn't necessarily see that from Peyton Thorne. Again, I'm really not trying to bash on Peyton Thorne. I wanted him to succeed just like every other Auburn fan. Yeah, but I mean, you had to move on, and it was 100% the correct call. Even if it was a simplified offense, the simplified offense looked better than any of the offenses we've seen since week one.
Yeah. And, you know, the thing is, though, well, first off, Hank Brown, the hair looks perfect. Look, I mean, it matched an SEC starting quarterback. He's out there looking like a true blue starting quarterback right there, just with the hair alone, man.
You know, it reminded me of Zach Wilson from BYU. That's what every time I see that hair with a headband, it just takes me back to Zach Wilson.
So we're going to get into some of the negatives here in a minute, but I did want to point out that the run game also looked. We're talking about the pass game, but the run game looked awesome and looked really well. Damari Alston was running free. Jarquez Hunter was running free. Jeremiah Cobb was running free on returns. I mean, all three running backs looked really good and actually did a really good job. That fumble, man, everybody in the world that was watching that game knew that it was coming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was at that point,
somebody
was the heaviest the rain was all game. The New Mexico defender put the helmet on the ball, is what you're supposed to friggin' do. And Damari Alston, he was even covering it up. That's the crazy thing to me. He had both arms over the ball, and it still happened, just break loose. I mean, it was hard to see, but it was hard to see. But I mean, luckily that was the only turnover that we saw in the game, which I'm okay with, to be honest with you. One turnover to two taken away, I'm okay with.
Yeah, but as good as the run game looked, in short yardage, we got to have this kind of run. The offensive line did not look great. They did not look good.
It really did not. It didn't. I mean, there was some shuffling before the game, the week before the game, after the Cal game, and that's to be expected. It seemed like they're a lot better at run blocking than they are pass protection. But if Hank Brown can continue to get the ball out as quick as he was, then it's going to make it a little easier on the offensive line.
See, and I didn't have a problem with the pass blocking. I thought the pass blocking looked really good and the run blocking looks pretty good, but in short yardage situations, specifically down on the goal line, it seemed like it was problem after problem after problem. They were letting people through. We were getting tackled in the backfield. Instead of 3rd and 1, it was, 3rd and 4 because on second down, they had gotten a tackle for a loss. And so I don't know, something was off. Something didn't quite look right offensively in short yardage situations. They got to shore that up. But like I said, that's a small thing. But against SEC opponent, that could be a bigger issue in the run game. And hopefully it's not something that we're talking about in the Arkansas game next.
No, I'm hoping not. Arkansas's defense, they do play pretty good against the run, but they're not rushing the passer very well at all. Moving away from the offensive line for a second, you said we're going to talk about negatives in a minute, but I got a big negative on my mind, and that is freaking containment from the linebackers and defensive line.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We had 6 sacks on the board, but we just let him get away. But you can't take any credit away from that quarterback. He knows how to evade a sack better than almost anyone I've seen since Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. Like the fact that they could not sack him is not the issue in my mind. Because that dude was not going to get sacked. It was containment. We saw time after time after time where the outside guy had the containment and that quarterback, Dampier, was running his way, and the outside guy got a little too greedy and was like, I'm going to make this play.
Just crashing inside.
And crashes inside, and we lose containment.
Every time.
It wasn't just him. It was against the running backs. It was against wide receivers. Containment is a huge issue right now. And I'm not sure why, because historically in the past, the last 10 years, Auburn has played amazing containment from what I can remember. I just don't remember there being a game where we looked so lost on the containment front like we did.
There's got to be some adjustments by DJ Durkin. I mean, you have 2 guys that have the quarterback contained on the inside and the outside, nowhere to go except unless he wants to turn around. And then all of a sudden, both the defenders crashing in on him crash inside, leaving the outside wide open. Yeah. And when you got a quarterback that agile and that quick, he's going to break that free every single time.
Yeah. And like you said, give all the credit in the world to Dampier, man. He looks like a world beater out there running behind the line. I mean, that dude looked crazy. He could see like a second or two into the future and was just dodging people, jumping over arms and legs, and it was crazy. So credit to him and everything. But man, that it was rough watching that for sure.
Just learn your containment. But I mean, it was infuriating as an Auburn fan, but as a football fan, you always love seeing exciting plays happen. And whenever he was scrambling, you just never knew what was going to happen, be it a miraculous, sideline catch, falling down out of bounds, keeping 2 feet on the inside and coming down with the catch to set up a field goal. But sheesh, dude, I can't. This defense has got to fix some things, especially with SEC play coming up. And speaking of defense, how many offensive pass interferences are not going to be called against Auburn opponents this year? We've seen at least 2 every single game.
See, and I wasn't too. I don't know. I didn't see too many of them, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
that 4th down touchdown catch from New Mexico late in the game, that was a clear and blatant push off from the New Mexico receiver on Antonio Kite. Antonio Kite played him perfectly. It was good defense, and he just shoved him, and nothing happened except for the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that one a little bit, but see, it looked weird. I think it looked weird, but when you watch the replay, he didn't really even touch him that much.
Are you kidding me, Cameron?
I just got done watching it, and I didn't think, initially in the moment, I thought, wow, that's pass interference. He shoved off, and then they showed the replay, and I was like, okay, he barely touched him. And so, I just don't know.
I mean, even Sam Acho was talking about how he got away with pushing off, but I never
Don't get
want to
me
hear that man's voice
started
again,
on
especially
Sam
commentating.
Acho.
I don't want to
Holy
hear that man's voice again.
shit.
But he was completely right. It was definitely an offensive pass interference call that just wasn't flagged.
Sam Acho has now become my least liked ESPN personality. I absolutely positively hate this guy. Number one, for what he said at SEC Media Days. And if you want to know what he said, go back and watch my 12-minute rant of the bullcrap he was talking about, how Texas and Oklahoma is a better rivalry than our small-time Alabama-Auburn Iron Bowl rivalry. That dude is a joke. And the fact that they put him on one of our games is a joke. And hopefully it's the last time we see him this year, because I can't take another moment of Sam freaking Acho.
Let's hope it's the last time.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
But okay, so outside, so you know, the referees, they weren't great. It felt like they were calling something constantly in the second half. And yeah, they were the right calls, but especially when the game was out of hand, it seemed like every 10 seconds there was something that New Mexico was doing. And in those moments, it's like, okay, come on. I understand you're calling it the way it's supposed to, but let the guys play and let's just get through this.
I agree with you. And, you know, my biggest, aside from the non-call and the offensive pass interference, my biggest gripe with the refs really, it wasn't the best refereed game, but it wasn't the worst. But the worst call of the game was the unnecessary roughness on Jaron Thompson. That was just absurd.
Yeah. No, I remember that one now. No, that was a legit call. The dude was out of bounds. He continued. He was pulling him back and he twisted and tosses him. That's out of bounds. He knew he was out of bounds.
Now, if you go back and watch the highlights, Cameron, the replay, you'll see that New Mexico does the exact same thing to an Auburn receiver in the first half, in worse fashion.
Okay, and that is another thing, and that should have been called. But I cannot sit here and say that I did not think that Jaron Thompson had unnecessary roughness on that play. If you're going to call unnecessary roughness, then it needs to be on both plays because it was unnecessary roughness.
We will disagree. To me, it looked like he was letting go and he wasn't doing anything malicious.
No, he wasn't doing anything malicious, but he was throwing the player, tossing the player instead of just letting go. He twists and turns him and tosses him rather than just letting him go. There's a difference between that. Trust me.
Well, I mean,
I have little kids. I see it.
I think it was more so of him trying to get his hand free from under the ball in the player's chest. But, I mean, I guess I could see it a little bit, but it shouldn't have been called.
We'll have to disagree. But speaking of Jaron Thompson, talk about a mixed bag.
Yeah.
He had good coverage on sometimes, and the wide receiver made amazing catches. And other times he looked lost out there. And I don't know if it's him ability wise, which I don't feel like it is, or if it's the way, like Zach Blackerby talked about, the way the coaches are coaching them and the way, where he's supposed to be on the play, scheme wise. So I don't know, man. It looked weird. It wasn't just Jaron Thompson that looked weird and out of sorts, but it felt like they were constantly calling his name for one way or the other, good or bad. It happened a lot.
It's true. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily is a coaching thing, more of a confusion thing, because there was 2 or 3 instances where New Mexico receivers were just wide the hell open downfield behind the safeties. I don't know if the safeties thought that they needed to play up or if it was a defensive call that was just wrong, but either way, it should not have happened that badly. They should not have been that wide open. And I think they were both on 4th down plays.
And again, credit to Jaron Thompson for that interception. That was an amazing interception that he made.
It was wonderful.
Great play. And so I'm not sitting here bashing Jaron Thompson, but I'm looking at the totality of his game. And he had penalties. He had poor defensive coverage, and then he had great defensive coverage. He had everything. It was a mixed bag. But everybody else,
the mental lapses.
Yeah, but everybody else in the secondary looked lost at times.
Yes.
Deontay Scott did not look great. Antonio Kite did not look great. the safeties, all of them did not look great. I mean, when you have a play and all of a sudden they zoom out and they show that there are two New Mexico receivers fighting for the ball. One of them was essentially Auburn's defensive back because he was like, is he going to try to get the ball? But he relinquished and was like, oh, I'm going to let this other guy catch the ball. And it was ridiculous. There was no Auburn player within 10 yards of either receiver. And It was a joke. I seriously almost lost it completely at that point. Something has got to change because a better team is going to make us pay very, very dearly for mistakes like that.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty if that continues to happen against tougher opponents. I mean, give credit to the defense for holding New Mexico to well under their season average of points so far. Yeah. But I mean, again, when you get tougher opponents like Arkansas next week with Taylor Green being the mobile quarterback he is, it's not going to work.
And yeah, we'll get more into the Arkansas game in another video, but yeah, again, defensively in the red zone, we looked good. That looks like where we were making really good tightening plays is in the red zone because, like you said, we held New Mexico under their season average. No, they have not played great competition up to this point, but they did play a ranked Arizona and they scored 35 points against them. Now, Arizona's not known for their defense, so okay, that makes sense. So I'm happy with the total outcome of the defense, but there was just a lot of things that looked really, really weird. Kieron Crawford and McLeod continually dropping into coverage, having the 3 down linemen.
Doesn't make any friggin' sense.
It's got to be that we're not showing our hand. The coaches have got to be playing with all the other teams and have got to be showing Arkansas specifically, hopefully. Those guys aren't anything to worry about. Don't worry about them. They're just in coverage. And I hope that's what it is.
In the mouth.
Right.
Let's hope.
I hope that's what it is. I hate coaches that hold back defensively, like that hold back on stuff like that, because it's just like, man, it don't matter if you show it in one game or in every game. The scout teams of advanced teams are going to notice that this is what you run. They're going to have it broken down. They're going to know that this is a thing, and they're going to know who our best pass rushers are. And their best pass rusher is Jalen McLeod, but he's dropped back 70% of the time this year.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, guess what? They're going to say, well, let's plan on him coming at us, and if he continues to drop back, then okay, we'll take advantage of it. So, coaching staffs of other teams are not idiots, and so I'm hoping that that's what it is, but it still doesn't make any sense to me.
Florida's coaching staffs are pretty dumb. Same with Florida State.
Yeah. So, and then also Keontae Scott's muff punt, man. We muff punts like Alabama misses field goals early in the Saban's years. I swear it's like an Auburn curse about us muffing punts. Alabama's got the missed field goals, we get the muff punts. It's just constant, man. Can we just get somebody back there?
I mean, the man's electric when he actually gets the ball in his hands, but at this point it's a 50-50 toss up whether or not he's going to catch the damn ball or not. I mean, put Malcolm Simmons back there.
Yeah, that's who I want to see back there, but he'll make some mistakes too. We just know it. But every Auburn fan wanted Keontae Scott back there returning punts against Alabama. So it's not one of those things where I sat there and was like, don't let Keontae return. It's not that. It's just, man, it just seems like an Auburn curse that continues to haunt us.
It's so frustrating.
So, credit to New Mexico's receivers, man. They looked great. They were getting open. They were catching contested balls. That ball on the sideline that he's catching in between Keontae Scott, or not Keontae, it was I think it was Antonio Kite's arm, and there were some great catches by the New Mexico receivers.
That boy Wysong, bro. Oh my gosh, could not lock him up at all. The dude is a freaking gamer.
He showed up in my nightmares the other night. Saturday night, I was sleeping. I woke up and I was like, oh, he did it again. Oh, wait. Okay, we're good. He was everywhere. But ultimately, it was a win. I feel like we should have saw the Peyton Thorne fool's gold in the Alabama A&M, considering the fact that he was only 13 for 21. against Alabama A&M. We should have saw that was coming. But Hank Brown looks like an improvement. I love the kid. I think he's got great mentality. Man, I love seeing him get the ball out fast because we've been clamoring for it. But all in all, a good Auburn win. And I don't think we have anything more to say about the New Mexico game.
Nope. B+ effort.
Yep. War Eagle, Josh.
War Eagle, man.